welcome Umar Farouk and Christine Moy.
Hello, welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining us. In the last session, Pedro from Mercado Libre talked about how blockchain and crypto are the next frontier that they're focused on, and that his founder thinks that this is the most exciting thing since the beginning of the internet. A little known fact is that JP Morgan has actually been researching and building in the blockchain space for the past half a decade. Separately, in the session, we discussed how do you drive innovation while you're also scaling the business? And how do you navigate what we call self-disruption? So with that, perhaps to kick off our session, Umar, would you like to give us a short introduction on what Onyx is and what is the driving force behind Onyx's launch and development?
So first of all, Christine, glad to be here and talking to you. And although Christine and I talk maybe like 100 times a day, but it's really interesting to do this in front of our clients, and I'm really happy everyone's here. And I think so far the whole session has been outstanding. Hopefully all of you feel the same. As far as Onyx is concerned, I think the seeds for Onyx were planted, as Christine said, about half a decade ago, as we started to go down the thought process of how do you think about distributed ledgers, where can they apply in our business, and frankly, the business of our clients. And how do we leverage these to fundamentally rethink the architecture of financial services? So not just money movement, but assets, information, everything. And I think we frankly, almost by definition, given that Christine and I both work in this area, we feel that this is a true revolution that will happen. So over the last year or so, we've been building Onyx more as an outward-facing brand, as a more of a quote-unquote ring-fence type entity within JP Morgan. And the reason we've gone down that path is because I think there's a few fundamental core beliefs that drive this. And hopefully many of you, given all of you are in large organizations and emerging organizations, see the same thing. One is the world is changing. It's changing from a very centralized model to a more decentralized multiplayer model. So, whereas historically everything was about, you going through a single bank or going through a set of different banks that didn't work together, we believe increasingly we will be entering a world where these banks or providers or other services would have to coexist and frankly integrate in a very seamless way for our clients. So I think that's one of the drivers. And I think as we go from this world, which is single bank and centralized, to possibly a multi-bank, multi-fintech, multi-entity, decentralized world, we wanted to create something that was truly different. And some of our platforms, like Link, like JPM Coin, and we'll talk about all of these, had gone from a point of view of where there were experiments or sort of curiosities to frankly quite significant commercial efforts. And our clients wanted to do more, we wanted to do more, and we thought it was the right time.
We're going to wrap up the
but I think
conference with a
what would really
chat
encapsulate the whole thing is
Wilson
we are fundamentally here to disrupt our own businesses. We want to build the future, but not in an incremental way, but in a disruptive step change way.
Everybody.
And the reason to do it through an entity like Onyx is, as everyone knows, if you're sitting inside the business, it is quite hard to disrupt from within. And I think a small band of us, which frankly, many of us are veterans. So Christine and I have been here a long time in various roles. But we are, we are charged with coming up with the future and frankly doing something which would be the first in the world. And we're not just doing it in payments, but we're doing it across the board.
Yeah, and as Umar said, as an example, have been at JP Morgan for about 2 decades now, and never or very rarely have I seen that you actually are able to carve off a specific division that has its own name brand, has its own colors and its own font, which makes it incredibly difficult to do, like the PowerPoints, but we love it. So in that same vein, one of the banner offerings that we've launched with Onyx that's now live is JP Morgan Coin, and JPM Coin has been in the news, covered by CNBC, termed a cryptocurrency a couple of years ago. In fact, can